It's Sunday evening, July the 5th, and you're watching the Weather Network just after 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're joining you live right now to show you our developing stories. This is what's going on this hour here at the Weather Network. The heat before the storm. This applies really to Ontario and into Quebec. We'll talk about those details. Also, wildfires, forced evacuations, new stories coming out of Saskatchewan. And we'll also get into this report, waterborne illnesses. Chrissy Van will have all of those details coming up throughout the show. Let me take you now and take a look at some of our temperatures. This is what we saw. National highs on Sunday. You can see the cooler conditions in Calgary, 17 degrees, Regina only down to 21 as that cold front pushed through this weekend, really brought some of your temperatures down. But where the heat is situated, that's throughout southern Ontario and into southern Quebec. And as this cold front comes for you, yeah, it's going to bring your temperatures down and it's going to spark up some storms. All the details ahead, but first, let's bask in the nice weekend we saw in the GTA. Have a look at this video here. You can see who Mother Nature just may have had it out for in terms of that one. Toronto perfect, Calgary anything but that. As we look at Monday afternoon here, this is a stretch right across the country. Dry conditions across the prairies. Edmonton could get into a few passing showers, but the heat is on. Humidex values through Toronto, let's say, or the city of Montreal, going to be feeling like the low 30s. So if you do have respiratory conditions or you're not a fan of the heat, let's say, you don't want to be outdoors for a long period of time as we look into Monday. As that cold front continues to push east and also sink a little south, we do have a thunderstorm risk right through Superior, so Timmins, Kapuskasing, you're right in the middle of that. And as this continues to move to the south, the GTA in southwestern Ontario, you'll be into those thunderstorms as we look at Tuesday. We have a lot of hot and humid air, and this is going to clash with quite a defined cold front. This brought Winnipeg's temperature down about 10 degrees over 2 hours on Saturday, so this could be sparking up some storms southern Ontario and into southern Quebec. I also want to talk about what's going on in the Atlantic provinces. This story is really starting to come to an end here. The thunderstorms throughout New Brunswick, but the rain, it's moving into Newfoundland, and unfortunately you will see a rainy day as we look at Monday. Let's talk about the wildfires for a second here. We saw some winds blowing smoke into Vancouver, and many people said they woke up to a scene this morning that looked totally unreal. Eerie skies with all. It is continuing. We shouldn't even really say drought-like anymore. It is a drought out through the BC coast. Now, as we look at the special weather statement in play, this is here just warning you about the hazy conditions and the smoke that is in your region. And we also still have this in place for much of Saskatchewan, northern Alberta, into southern Manitoba as well. So this is a story we follow very closely here at the Weather Network. So in every segment here of the Weather Selfie, we feature someone talking about their weather, sharing the weekend plans, and my parents, they actually said, hey, can we get in on the action? So I said, sure. Here's their video from Port Credit, that's Mississauga, Ontario.
Hi Rachel, this is our Weather Selfie.
We're here in Port Credit. It's a beautiful day, a little misty, a little foggy as you can see, but it's really beautiful being out on the lake.
So what's the weather going to be like in Port Credit for the next week?
All right, thanks for that, guys. And clearly my dad doesn't just want a personalized forecast for the next day. He wants the full 7-day forecast. So here we go. This is what Mississauga is looking like. Monday, the humidity still builds. 35, that's what it's going to feel like. Into Tuesday, cold fronts coming through. So guys, be prepared for some of that active weather. You'll see some of those thunderstorms. So if you want to get your video featured right here on the Weather Networks. Now, think back to that video we just showed you there in Port Credit and sort of that hazy sky. That's actually some of the smoke from the forest fires up in the prairies leaking as far south down to the GTA. Now, it's not actually affecting visibility because it is in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but you can still see that haze. Just like James tweeted us here, sunset in Dorset, Ontario, that's Sunday morning. Also look at this one here, Emma Lake, Saskatchewan engulfed. This smoke here a little bit closer to the ground. And then look what BC woke up to this morning. This is in Vancouver. Martin Rose sends us this one. So let's talk about the forest fire situation here. I want to switch over to the map and I can show you what's going on. As we take a close look in Alberta, look at this. The total fires this year, over 1,000. Currently, 121 are burning. This is the most active province. Saskatchewan, for example, total fires, 561. That's in 2015. 2014 already beating that number as we look at the whole year. So a very active season is upon us. And that brings us to this, the fire danger rating. This still comes into play. And when we look at the drought situation in Vancouver, no rain coming into the forecast. They've even put fishing bans in and around Vancouver Island. Stay with us here. Your full weather story is coming up next.
Go to the
Glad you're watching the Weather Network on this Sunday evening. I'm Rachel Schoutsen, July the 5th, and this is a look at cloud tops right across the country here. Look at this. This is the cold front that's slicing through Ontario, and this is going to be the next big weather story as we look at this week. Temperature-wise across the prairies throughout the overnight, 8 degrees in Regina, 7 in Calgary, cooler conditions, and let me show you what Calgary was looking like. Wanted them to be, but overall, you didn't have to deal with a hailstorm, so things were a lot better, right? Okay, let's take a look across the prairies here. High pressure mainly coming into place for Alberta, but throughout the day on Monday, we are going to see a low that's from the north. It's going to sink down to the south. Edmonton, you could get into a few showers, but overall the story for Saskatchewan and into Manitoba is you will be seeing those dry conditions. This is a look at Monday here. I'll let you see the whole screen. 23 degrees in Calgary, 18 in Regina, so cooler temperatures as we get into Monday for Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Now, we are going to see a slight thunderstorm risk as we do look at Monday here as that low continues to sink down. It's going to be for northern BC and northern Alberta. Places like Calgary, you should be staying dry as we get into Monday. We'll take you into New Brunswick here. The thunderstorm risk for today, the story is all diminishing, but rain showers are going to be moving in through Newfoundland. Let me show you some rain showers. But like I said here, that story is all coming to an end. We are going to see some moisture moving into Newfoundland, and unfortunately on the Avalon for Monday, you're looking at a pretty cool day. Only a daytime high of 9 degrees for St. John's, and you'll see those showers move through. For the Maritimes, though, nice, fairly clear conditions and humid as well. The big story for southern Ontario is that humidity that's building through. The city of Toronto is going to be feeling like around 32 degrees tomorrow. As this cold front continues to come through, it's interacting with some very hot and humid air, so that puts just north of the Great Lakes, north of Superior here, into that thunderstorm risk for Monday. As this cold front continues to sink south, the GTA will be in the same situation as we look at Tuesday. So you can see here, Monday, nice, clear, and dry, but this is all moving through. Before I leave you here, I want you to check out this scene. And we feature a new time lapse here every Tuesday on the Weather Network. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday evening. A pretty nice Sunday evening for many people across the country, except if you're up in northwestern Ontario, dealing with those thunderstorms. Winds, heavy downpours, could be low visibility as well. This is the same cold front that sparked up some tornado warnings yesterday throughout southern Saskatchewan. So we're watching this again for the potential of some severe weather. This is a very defined cold front mixing in with some already very hot and humid air. So that's the spark to see some of those severe thunderstorms. As we look at our conditions throughout the overnight, Winnipeg at 12 degrees. You can tell that cold front already has ran through. Calgary, same thing goes at 7. City of Toronto at 17. Montreal 16. So fairly comfortable conditions. We'll take you off into Atlantic Canada right now. Monday morning, those showers moving through the Avalon through the overnight, still sticking with you in St. John's, 9 degrees, and things don't get much better than that. That's about your daytime high as well. Monday morning, you can again see where that cold front is, bringing in a few showers, and that's going to intensify throughout the day on Monday. Very comfortable for the south. Your chance of seeing that active weather in the greater Toronto area is going to come into place for Tuesday, but you can see Monday morning, 20 degrees in London, 20 in Hamilton and Toronto. You can tell this is going to be a scorcher of a day, with the humidex feeling like the low 30s. As we look at Monday morning in Manitoba, very comfortable conditions, a little chilly. Yeah, you'll need the sweater, but dry, lots of sunshine. Same thing goes in through southern Saskatchewan as well. And then as we move into Alberta, maybe you're saying, hey, today's my day to go to the Stampede. Things are going to be looking very comfortable in through Monday morning, 11 degrees in Calgary, and then into the afternoon, warming up to about 23. Dry conditions. On the BC coast, the dry conditions continue. The drought situation in BC has gotten fairly serious. They have even stopped fishing now in and around Vancouver Island to protect some of the fishing species that would be at risk in a drought-like situation. We'll keep you updated on all of these stories. You can read more about that fishing ban online at theweathernetwork.com. And before I leave you here, we can take a look at some of the temperatures. You can see this trough out across the prairies, a little bit cooler, but this ridge, that's in place throughout Ontario and Quebec, and that's what's allowing in some of that very hot and humid air. But that's all going to change as that cold front rolls through on Tuesday. You can expect temperatures to fall. More on that is coming up in your locals. Let's talk about what you can expect across Canada into Monday here. We are seeing another dry, hot day in BC. Thunderstorm risk for the interior. Also, pretty warm conditions throughout Alberta. Temperatures are rebounding. A little bit cooler for Saskatchewan and into Manitoba. Thunderstorms for northwestern Ontario. North of Superior, actually widespread. Warm day in southern Ontario, the GTA. 27 degrees for the city of Toronto. Same thing goes into Quebec. Great day for the Maritimes, but rain showers in Newfoundland. So let me take you south. We're going to do a bit of a traveler's forecast here. So maybe you're going to the States, heading up to Washington, Oregon, or California. Dry, warm conditions, but we are seeing a lot of active weather down towards the south here. Thunder showers again for southeastern portions of the states. Atlanta, for example, 29 degrees. That's a lot of heat and humidity there. And then thunderstorms are coming into play. And lastly, maybe you're going to a beach down here, Havana. Oh, 33 degrees. We'll see some overcast skies, but plenty of sunshine. Look at this, 35. All right, maybe you're not going to the Caribbean or the States and you're just staying at a beach in Canada. Well, Chrissy Van has more on that right now. Well, we're going to start off here with a big story, Chrissy. We've been talking about the wildfires. You see some of the videos in Force of Nature, and here's a look at some of your photos that you've been sharing with the Weather Network online.
Yeah, this has really been a situation we've been seeing blowing up on Twitter and, of course, shared on our video gallery. This is the sky in Nanaimo. Because of those easterly winds, we've been seeing the smoky skies even moving in through Metro Vancouver.
Yeah, this is a picture here of Metro Vancouver. Martin Rose takes this one. These are all photos from just this weekend. And as we look at this one as well, a lot of people were commenting that they actually weren't sure what was going on with the sky.
Yeah, and I know visibility at times down to about 10 kilometers. This is the scene in Lorong, of course, the evacuation zone. I know a lot of people, thousands, have evacuated to Cold Lake, Alberta.
Yeah, and you know what? Something interesting too, down into the greater Toronto area, we saw that haze over the skyline, and this is all has to do with the wildfires. So really affecting Canadians from BC now right into Ontario. So let's switch over to our maps here and we can show you the deepening drought situation in Vancouver. Of course, when we see a situation like this, it doesn't help the fire situation.
Certainly, especially when it's an area so iconic for its rainfall. Now, this is a look at some of the current wildfires of note. And you can see current fires in BC at 95. We have over 100,000 hectares already impacted, and it's early in the season yet.
Absolutely. Alberta is one of the hot spots here. 121 fires. That's the most fires we've seen. And also the total fires almost at 1,300. Last year, just over 1,400. So we are certainly on track to surpass fires as we look at 2014 in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the hot, dry conditions, a lack of rain, many started by lightning. In Saskatchewan, 111 current fires in effect, and into Manitoba at 67 thus far.
So we wish we could tell you that rainfall is coming your way, but really, look at BC. It is so dry, same thing goes into Alberta.
Yeah, really, we're just going to see a little bit of rain as a front passes through to the north, but the amounts aren't going to be substantial enough to alleviate the situation.
No, and you know what? We're also dealing with a very hot spell over in Pakistan. This is an article online at theweathernetwork.com. 6 gripping photos that you can see. I want you to check this one out. When we talk about this, temperatures reaching 44 degrees.
I know, and temperatures that they haven't seen since 1981 over a prolonged period of time. So a very serious situation there. The full article at theweathernetwork.com.
All right, I want you to stay with us throughout the overnight. We'll be talking about your forecast, getting you into Monday. And remember, your local forecast comes up here at the 10s, and we'll also have a traveler's outlook coming up next. Take a video and talk about the conditions, and then see it on air in the Weather Selfie. That airs at 9:13 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sunday. And just so you know, a new time lapse airs here every Tuesday on the Weather Network. Thanks for joining us here. It's Sunday evening. I'm Rachel Schoutsen. And as we look at Sunday, wow, we were pretty warm across the GTA. A shot of summer. Yeah, it was finally here, but many people noticed sort of that hazy sky. A lot of people saw it as you looked up at the sun in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That was actually the smoke from the wildfires moving through. You can see how many Canadians that's affecting right across the country. Big story here at the Weather Network. I'll show you some pictures coming up in Force of Nature. Now into Monday morning, look at some of these temperatures. Our heat is only going up. The humidex into the low 30s as we look at Monday, and it's all going to change in through Tuesday. We're going to see a cold front slice through, and when we look at all this heat coming into play with this very defined cold front, it's going to spark up some active weather. And Tuesday looks to be the day for seeing that. I'm going to play out this video in a second, but I want to show you the Queen's Plate. Of course, that happened. So overall, the conditions were pretty good for a big outdoor event like that. But into Tuesday, let's talk about this story now. This is the cold front. It's a defined cold front. It brought temperatures down around 10 degrees in Winnipeg as it sliced through in just about 2 hours. So this is a big change in air mass coming through. So Tuesday afternoon, evening, that's when it's set to hit the Greater Toronto area and spark up some of those thunderstorms. This will move in through southern Quebec as well. So if you have travel plans out to Montreal, a very similar forecast here. And I'll show you this over the next 7 days. Monday's great. Tuesday, getting into that active weather, feeling like 34 degrees. And then as we look at Wednesday, this is Barry's 7-day forecast, by the way, things are all going to be clear and out of the way. Same thing goes for the city of Toronto. Tuesday, feeling like 34, but temperatures are down 22 degrees on Wednesday. We're getting back into that slightly below seasonal pattern. But after the humidity on Monday and Tuesday, I'm sure a lot of people are not going to complain about this one. Same thing here in Mississauga. You can see that thunderstorms are going to be in the forecast. Hamilton, you're also looking at quite the same picture. And when we look at this story across the prairies as well, you can see after that cold front came through, really brought the temperatures down, trough in the jet stream here, ridge over us, and that's all going to change again as we look at Tuesday. Now, coming up next here on the Weather Network, we're going to take a look at the States. Of course, happy 4th of July yesterday, and also the Caribbean with a traveler's forecast. It's Sunday evening. You're watching the Weather Network. I'm Rachel Schoutsen, and you've tuned in just in time to look at our developing stories. The heat before the storm, this all applies to Ontario and Quebec. Wildfires force evacuations, new stories coming out of Saskatchewan. We'll talk about this in Force of Nature Extended. And also, Chrissy Van will have waterborne illnesses, everything you need to know about swimming in the Great Lakes. Okay, let's take a look at some of those high temperatures that we saw on Sunday. It was toasty. 27 in Hamilton, 26 in Newmarket, Toronto. Let me show you some video from Toronto. Just beautiful. And you know what? It's going to linger like that into Monday as well. 20 degrees to start off the morning. So you can only imagine how warm temperatures are going to get into the afternoon. Look at this, almost reaching 30 degrees. Places like Hamilton and the Humidex, it's going to feel more like 33. So being outside for a long period of time, unless you're in a pool, which is what I plan on doing tomorrow, you don't want to be outside for too long. Make sure you want to keep hydrated. As we look at the thunderstorm risk, this is going to apply north of Superior here as that cold front continues to shift through. And yes, this is going to affect people in the Greater Toronto area. Watch as this plays out here. This is the same cold front that brought some tornado warnings into southern Saskatchewan on Saturday. This is going to continue to push through Ontario Monday, and it should be in the GTA afternoon, evening hours as we look at Tuesday. So seeing thunderstorms, yes, it is in the forecast. Take Hamilton, for example. Great day on Monday, very humid, feels like 35. And then as we look into Tuesday, feeling like 36, but that active weather should be here. Short-lived, though, you can see by Wednesday, already moving out of the way. Same thing goes for the city of Toronto. So when we see thunderstorms, of course, flash flooding is always a concern. And our reporter, Kelly Noseworthy, dove into a very interesting story, the rain grid. Have you heard about this? Well, she has more right now.